Modern life is generally quite busy, it's quite distracting, it demands us to be always rushing from place to place, and in a lot of ways photography and a lot of creative pursuits, I would say, are the complete opposite of that. When you're out and you're shooting and you're doing photography, a lot of the time you really only get your best results when you slow down and you take the time to compose yourself with your surroundings rather than being completely rushed and frantic. And to do that really requires you to be in a state of mind where you are slow, you are purposeful, and you are considered in what you're doing. So how exactly do we get to this point? And that's what I'm going to address in this video today. Greetings YouTube, my name is Stuart and I'm on a mission to document my journey as a photographer and videographer using the Fujifilm ecosystem, all while showing you how I spend my downtime here in Seoul, South Korea. Now, I can't remember where it was. I think I was scrolling Instagram one day and this reel came up and it explained the concept of yutori, which in Japanese essentially means space or time, latitude, flexibility. It's really a multifaceted word, but essentially what it means is having the space to breathe. Now, you might be familiar with other Japanese concepts such as ikigai or kaizen, and in a way yutori is kind of tied to that, but on a very broad level refers to space or spaciousness. I've got to be honest, living in Korea, spaciousness is not really something that is actively practiced, and you can see how this is reflected through a lot of the society, through a lot of the design choices in the cities, and even just the sheer geography of the country, because it is a place that is 70% mountainous with not that much land for people to kind of settle. And even if there was land for people to settle, they would probably still build tons of apartments instead of more Western style housing. If you've ever taken a train in Seoul during rush hour, then you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Line 2 is living hell, to be honest, from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. in the evenings and in the mornings around rush hour as well. It's just super packed. It's a city and a country of people trying to get from place to place as fast as they can. And coming from a country where there are just vast rolling plains and huge acres of land, this is something that I really struggled with at first, but living in Seoul is something that I've come to accept. So delving a little bit into this concept of yutori and how I think it could be relevant to photographers, in the Japanese context, it essentially means having breathing space or having room to relax. It's the idea of not being crammed or overloaded with tasks and commitments. In East Asian culture, I feel, in both Korean and Japanese culture, there are lots of professional pressures. There is a lot of demand to work overtime and push yourself kind of beyond your limits. And so this concept of yutori is something that is really prized, especially amongst professional people, people who work long hours and long hour jobs. Now, Japanese anthropologists have found 8 factors related to yutori, and those are economic wealth, free time, environmental amenities, competence, contentment, challenge, enjoyment, behavioral freedom, and first, second order factor. And I feel like this is a time in this video where it's time for me to get personal and kind of tell you about the changes that have happened in my life ever since I started this YouTube channel in 2023. Now, the genesis of this kind of phase of this channel, the Weekend Salaryman, was kind of revolved around the fact that I had a 9-to-6 company job here in Seoul, and that the real reason I kind of branded it like that is because that was the only, I didn't have a lot of free time to work on my creative pursuits, to go out and shoot. And that was kind of the whole idea behind that tag. Now, I quit that job. I've since quit that job. It's been a couple of months now. And even though at that time when I quit, I wasn't familiar with this concept of yutori, the whole reason for me quitting was essentially to have more time freedom and not to be constrained by something like a job which holds you down and essentially restricts your time for other things. Now, while I have found alternate employment, it is essentially a new schedule, and it's a new schedule that allows me a lot more time to focus on things that I want to do, allows me time to focus on, going out to make videos, to make photos, and essentially it gives me the time to carve out that spaciousness in my life for myself. having spoken about the lifestyle aspect of yutori, I think it is important, as a photographer to talk about how we can apply this to our photography practice. In the beginning, I spoke about, Korea not really practicing the concept of spaciousness, and that of course refers to physical space. But I think in the same way you can talk about time, space, and just like how I've spoken about, quitting my job and having more time to focus on my own pursuits, you can also take that and apply it to photography. For example, in compositions, it really is important to, for example, give your compositions room to breathe. I found that just kind of trying to slow down a little bit and approaching my photography with the yutori mindset has yielded better results. I'm less stressed about getting a certain number of photos or getting a specific quality of photos, and just kind of more immersing myself in the moments that I'm there and essentially just enjoying the process. I'm not as much trying to cram as many photos into one session. I'm just sitting back, I'm relaxing, and I'm enjoying the process so much more. Some ways that I kind of practice this yutori concept, either on a day-to-day basis or over the weekends when I have free time to shoot is, obviously I will try and plan beforehand, but even if things don't go to plan, it's just kind of trying to be at peace with that and knowing that there's always a next time. Also just taking my time a little bit more to compose my shots, slowing down, appreciating the small details. And if I don't get anything that I deem worthy of posting, for example, then kind of knowing that I shouldn't be too hard on myself and that there will always be another opportunity. So if I was to ask myself if this kind of philosophy of yutori has improved my shooting, I don't think I'd actually definitively be able to say if it has. So, maybe it has, maybe it hasn't, but it definitely has made my shooting process more enjoyable, more less stressful, definitely. And I hope that this concept, this Japanese concept of yutori, gives you a different perspective, as well as for you when you go out and make your own images. It wouldn't be a video of mine without me talking a little bit about Fujifilm and how I feel, shooting with Fujifilm does kind of help with this concept of yutori, because I do feel there is a link. A lot of the stuff now that I post and that I shoot is really purely just JPEG, and I feel like having the ability to get such good results out of the Fuji, those beautiful colors, and not having to edit them, that in itself is something that frees up a lot of time for me. And removing all that editing time that I would once normally have focused on really allows me to focus on other things as well. I don't get really as bogged down in the editing process as I did before. I think yutori is one of those concepts that maybe we all try or want to practice in our lives, but we just don't know it yet, or we don't know exactly what it entails. And I guess on a wider note, what I'm trying to say with this video is that we should all work on carving out time for the things that make us happy, the things that bring us joy, and the things that make our lives complete. If you got any value from this video or you enjoyed watching it, then I would humbly request that you drop a like and subscribe. If you're new to the Fujifilm ecosystem and you're looking for some recipes to try, then check out this video where I go around Seoul and photograph the cherry blossoms using 3 different recipes. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.